Here we go. So let's go ahead and display what we got going on over here. Go ahead and throw the chat on later. Just make sure things are kind of set up. Get over to our live streaming here. And it looks like we're making progress. Hey, what's up, guys? So my name is Stefan, and I'm going to go ahead and do a lovely webinar that focuses in on setting up a web server. So this is going to be a comprehensive, probably 3-hour type of live, and we're going to cover pretty much everything from setting up a domain name or buying a domain name like example.com, pointing it over to your server, getting email settings up and running, hardening or security for your web server, and all this other fun stuff. So if you've ever kind of wondered how to go about doing this stuff, today is the day, guys. I mean, this is something that I will go into a deep dive. I am not very much an outspoken person. I'm an introvert, but this is something that I very much enjoy. And this is just kind of like me passing it on, guys. Eventually, I will make it into a digital product. So for you digital marketers, this is something that you'll be able to use as well. It's setting up the foundations, kind of like your digital foundations for your business or for your service or for your products, really. So if you're a digital marketer, basically that means that you could have a course. That means that you'd be able to have a website to, advertise. That means that you'd be able to do email campaigns. The same for our lovely entrepreneurs and small business owners. You guys will be able to have CRMs and ERPs that will help manage your business. So this should be like a pretty comprehensive, live that should help you out. So what we're going to be covering is business systems and cloud server digital product, pretty much. So we're going to go into this little folder here called N8N besides virtual min setup. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and install virtual min, which is kind of like a cPanel or a cloud into it. So let me go ahead and share my screen so you guys can see what I'm doing here. All right, so let's go ahead and display. Here we are. And without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to ionos.com. So if you guys are just learning how to go about doing this and you just kind of want to test the waters, Ionos, you can buy a domain name for $1 the following year, I think, in regards to Ionos, but for the sake of this video, we're going to go ahead and use them. And let's just go ahead and sign in. So you guys are going to see the raw nitty gritty, how long it actually takes. createdtees.com is the web name that I decided to buy. Back in the day, I was trying to sell some t-shirts, and I figured kind of go along with math, right? Let me go ahead and type my password. Basically, whenever you choose a domain name, you just want to have something that's easy to remember and easy to type in. So you don't want to have T-mobile, right? Because that's just a pain. And you want something easy like abc.com or something like that. I'm not trying to give a shout out to them, but anyway, just something easy to remember, right? So once you buy a domain name with Ionos, that's all you need to buy. You don't need to buy the SSL. You don't need to buy web hosting or anything else. Is just the domain name. And you want to have like the security that is provided with it. I mean, I think they provide it for free, so just kind of keep that in mind. All right, so when you finally get that taken care of, you're going to go ahead and manage your domain. So you're going to go ahead and click into that. And what you're going to see is this little section here. So what we want to do basically is take our name server, the target, we're going to go ahead and adjust the name server, and we want to match this up with what's in Cloudflare. So when I first log into Cloudflare, it took like a little bit to get going with that. I mean, it's not that hard. You basically just kind of get yourself set up. Um, they have like automatic type thing where it will kind of set it up with what you have. But if you don't have something, that's fine. What you're really looking for is like their name servers. So let me just kind of, no, not that one. Once I had this all set up, guys, I'm going to go ahead and do like a two-factor authentication on this just to make it more difficult. That's a recommendation that I have for you guys as well. So we're going to go ahead and kind of log into this thing here, and I'll just start it over. I'll go ahead and delete the calculated T's that we have here, and just kind of go from the start, you might say. So let's just go ahead and remove from Cloudflare. When you buy a domain name and you point it over to your server, it does take a little bit of time. Oftentimes, it will take up to, well, between like 2 hours and 20 or 48 hours, according to them. So I'm kind of rolling the dice on this. Hopefully, it will work. So we'll just kind of do it like that. So we're going to go ahead and put in our domain name. So over here, register a new domain. We're not doing that. We're going to use the one that we have. So we're going to do calculatedtees.com. And you see how it says quick scan for DNS records? Well, let's just go ahead and do that. So we're going to hit continue. We want free. I mean, if you wanted to pay for pro, you can pay for pro. For what we're doing, we don't need it. And it's going to kind of like see like what you got going on right now. So it's going to connect up with Ionos and see, the name servers that's up in there and just kind of drag it on over, and well, you'll see. All right, we'll just continue to activation. We'll go ahead and add the records later because we don't have the actual IP address as of yet. Waiting for your register to propagate your new name servers. So our new name servers, well, what is it? I mean, you got to find it, right? So let's go ahead and check name servers now. Or maybe if we go over to show name server instruction, that will give us what we need. Yeah, 1 to 2 days, could take up to a day, which is whatever. Let's go over to calculated T's here on the left on domains. No. Perhaps the records. There we are. All right, so basically you're going to go ahead and click on the records there under DNS, and we're going to see this right here. So it says eliza.nscloudflare.com. I'm not sure if I already had that up in there. I do. So maybe I won't have to wait for it to propagate. Hopefully that's not the case. And then we have Jerome NS Cloudflare as well. So basically what was there from Cloudflare, we want to, plop that into our name servers. So over here, if we were, that's all we're going to do with Ionos. Ionos, we are done. So basically, we have Ionos pointing over to Cloudflare. Cloudflare is going to go ahead and do its magic eventually, and then take us on over to our web server. Now, for learning purposes, I would recommend Contabo because it's relatively inexpensive. They're okay when it comes to reliability. I'm not going to say they're the best guys because I know they're not, but it's perfect for learning, and you can use it for like a small business. Honestly, guys, I mean, I'm that confident in it myself. I've been using it for a couple of years now. I haven't really had any problems with it myself. Now, if you wanted to have something a little bit more secure for that peace of mind, I would recommend DigitalOcean. They've been around for quite some time, very stable. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and use Contabo. And when we get into Contabo, we're just going to go ahead and take a look at Cloud VPS. Basically, it's just a web server elsewhere in Germany. Okay, and the cost of it. Let's see if I can bring it on over to. Oh, it is in US dollar. Okay, nice. So I would recommend the $6 one. If you can do the $12 one, go for it. I mean, it has a little bit more speed, but this right here is more than enough to get you going. So when you go in there, you just basically say get started. You see how it changed to a different amount there. That's the pounds, I think. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make sure that it matches up with kind of like where you are. So if you wanted to have it there within America, basically, you could select whichever one you want to, choose. I'm here in the East. I would, select the East. You can scroll up. What's included with it is, 200 gigabytes of space, which is nice. And we want to make sure that we have Ubuntu or however you say it. That's what we want. If you wanted to choose, usually I would do like the latest release, which is LTS. I think it will automatically come with it. And then if you wanted to add private networking, I mean, you can do that. That's up to you. Cloudflare is going to do a pretty good job of that. And then, one IP address. We're not going to have it managed. We're managing it ourselves, guys. So if something goes wrong, basically it's you that has to fix it. So heads up disclaimer, I'm not the one that's going to be fixing it, guys. Okay. And then you would go ahead and enter in your information and make a payment. Okay, so I've already done that. I'm just going to go ahead and log in. So that takes maybe well, it depends on them, but I mean the longest I've had it where I wouldn't receive something was like an hour or something like that. So it's not necessarily right off the bat with Contavo. You get your money's worth, but I'm very happy with them. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and log in. And let me put in my handy dandy authentication. So bear along with our free authenticator. You got to weed through all the ads, guys. That's part of the deal if you're like me. So let's go ahead and do where we at? All right, so this is where we're at. So the very first thing that we're going to do is go and find out what it is our IP address. So, I mean, we're going to go over and go to VPS control. And this is the one that I'm going to be using. So it's this 77.237, etc. And I've already basically reinstalled it. So, when reinstalling, this is what you're going to see. I mean, you hit the reinstall button, and I'm using Ubuntu 24.04 LTS. You can use 22, that's fine. And you put in like a nice strong password to kind of go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this address for now. And we're going to go ahead and go back into Cloudflare and kind of get that going. Okay. So we're going to scroll on up and we have no records here. So, I mean, let's go ahead and add some records. Basically, this will allow us to be able to, connect with the web servers. So we're just going to do an at record. I'm going to have everything without the proxy for now. I'm going to go ahead and save. And then we'll go ahead and add another record. Oh, I guess that would help. Save. And then we'll add another record. And then if you guys wanted to find out what it is that you're supposed to be putting in there, I mean, you can easily chat GPT or, the web for this information. This is basically what we're putting in there. So the host, www. I'm going to go ahead and put in, the N8N domain that I'll be putting in as well. So let me just go ahead and put that in now. Just for grins and giggles, we'll call it system. It's nice having cheat sheets, right? Now, if you wanted to have like webmail and admin, basically webmail is going to be for like checking your email. You don't need to have that, and you don't need to have admin. I mean, I would just recommend not having a period. That's just my personal opinion on the matter. And then we'll go ahead and add in some MX records here. So we'll just go ahead and do MX at. Oops. And save. We want to have the name of our web server as well. So this is going to be pretty important as well. Let me just go ahead and put that in right now before I forget. So we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to call it server. So server, and then it's going to be pointing at our IP address. Go ahead and save. When we're in the control panel of Contabo, let's go ahead and go over to DNS or the reverse DNS management. So basically, this is going to be setting like the name for our server and making sure everything meshes together. So we're going to go ahead and go over here. The PTR record is what we're going to change. I only do this now because I don't want to forget. So before it was called serverfieldsuitepro.com or .pro. If you're gonna buy like a domain name, do like the .com. I mean, it's more trustworthy in the eyes of many other people. So we'll go ahead and click on this, and we're gonna go ahead and change it from that to server calculated keys.com. And let's go ahead and update. All right, so that part's done there. And then let me go back over to the other records, see if there's anything else that I need to remember in the meantime. We can go ahead and kind of set these up. It's not going to necessarily be this when we're finished with it, but at least we'll have kind of like a placeholder, if you will. So we'll go ahead and put a text record in. And I could try to, say I know what all this means and that it's, this means this and this means that, but I'm not going to pretend, guys. I just know that it works. So, I'll just kind of put it like that. But basically, this is what you need when it comes to sending email. It basically makes sure that you're legit, and it, kind of ties everything in together. So, if you wanted like a further explanation on that, just go to the internet. That's just my thought on the matter. And then we'll hold off on the DKIM record for now. We'll just kind of leave that there because we're going to get back to that. I do have like a little section here that talks about kind of like what these things are when it comes to the DMARC records and what it means and whatnot. So I mean, you can take a look in there if you like. All right. So for the most part, our calculatedtees.com is connecting with our web server. So if you were to type it in now, you're not going to really see anything. It's not working. Okay, which is fine, guys. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves prepared where we can actually connect into that nice server. Okay, so this little IP address is what we're going to be using. Get out of, well, actually, I'll just leave that open. We'll exit out of that. I don't think there's anybody here yet, so let me just say hi in the chat. If you guys have any questions, hi. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to say hi. All right, so that's where we're at with that. I'll check that periodically, see, if there's like questions or whatever. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and connect. I'm here on something called a Windows computer, and Windows is Windows. So we're connecting, to a Linux server. How do you do that? Well, a lot of people will use a program called Putty. It's nice and small, connects you directly to the SSH, which is where you see everything in the back end. We're going to get to that in a moment. And then oftentimes they'll use a program called FileZilla, which is kind of like the Explorer that you see here, where you can kind of get into the different folders and things like that. So you're going to see that as well. But instead of using those two programs, I'm going to use one that also allows us to create a SSH key. So we're going to go ahead and go through that process. So the very first thing that I would do, seeing how you guys probably don't have this, is go over to Google, and we're going to go ahead and type in Bitvise. And it's a nice small little program. You're not going to do the SSH server, you're doing the client. So when you go over here, you just download the Bitvise SSH client. It's 25.8 megabytes, so it's not that big. It does its thing. And then you would just basically download it and install it. Okay. And then once you've installed it, you're going to see something like this when you open it up. This will all be blank. So we'll go ahead and empty this out. We're going to empty this out. You might see none to begin with. I'm not sure. And what we're going to do is we're going to paste in that IP address from Contabo. So that 771 that we got, I'm going to copy it. We're going to go ahead and paste it in here. The default port is going to be 22. And let's go ahead and type in root. So when we go ahead and we click log in, we're going to accept and save. And I'm going to put in my password. Or maybe I won't. All right, so as you can see, I failed to do it correctly when I first set it up. So might as well do that now. Let me get it back into the control panel. And let's go back over to, well, I don't want to be here, I can tell you that. want to be in VPS. Over VPS, we got, I don't want the, I'm not used to this new, yeah, that's not what I wanted. All right, this is where I want to be. All right, that's 7.7, but you notice how the display name is a little bit different, so I also want to kind of change that up too. So let me go ahead and do more. And what we're going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and reinstall. So I'm going to go hit the reinstall button, the 24.04. You can also do other applications like NAN, WireGuard, Nextcloud. I love Nextcloud. But we're just going to keep it nice and simple and hit install. That's fine. And it says it should take about 5 minutes. So my bad, guys. I mean, it is what it is. As you can see, the region is there out in Europe. So, but it's installing right now. So we're going to go ahead and let it do its thing. I wonder if I can, I'm going to slow down. Let's just go ahead and go over like what we have when it comes to like what we're doing today. How about that? So within this lovely little folder, I have read me before starting anything. And basically this is, going to be like a broad overview of what we're doing. We're going to make sure that we install N8N today. Basically N8N is for automation, and you can do a lot with it. If you've never heard of it, it's very similar to Zapier. If you've never heard of Zapier, well, basically it just allows you to connect the tools together and make business happen. We'll just kind of put it that way. So before running any of these scripts, we want to make sure that we have our PTR records set up. So we have that taken care of, right? And then with our DNS records, we want to make sure that it's pointed to our IP. We have done that, right? And then afterwards, once we get this thing up and running and connected, we're going to install virtualmin, N8N. We're going to do a little bit of hardening and just kind of go from there, guys. So, with the firewall, we're going to remove the default firewall that Ubuntu has or that virtualmin has and replace it with UFW. And I mean, if you want to keep it, that's up to you. We're going to be installing aid. We're also going to be installing RK Hunter, failed to ban. We're going to be doing a little bit of um, tweaking when it comes to mod security and things of that nature. So basically, in short, by the time that we're finished with this server, it's going to be a production grade server. I'm not saying it's going to block all the attacks that are out there because we live in a day and age of AI. And I mean, right now, even the most secure servers are probably not that secure because they don't have AI implemented, right? The smart people do, though, and eventually I'll get around to that. I'm not that brilliant, though. All right, so that's kind of like, in a nutshell, for security and what you can do along with this server. Um, you can do a lot of things. Basically, open source software is often free, and what that means is that developers have made a program that allows you to do something, and they'll charge on the back end, maybe with support. Oftentimes, it's there with volunteers that are making sure that things are legit, and it's just kind of like passing it forward. Honestly, I mean, I mad props to all these people that do this. So what can you do with open source? Well, Modic is an email automation software. Basically, you can send out email campaigns, and you can also do it with SMS or text messages. You want to make sure you're within the law when it comes to that. It also allows A/B testing, and it has the capability to be able to like create your own HTML pages, to send out. Really cool. You can also install other things like a CRM, where you can use it for sales. An ERP is very much for businesses. So, not only does it track like customers, but also helps you keep track of your finances and your employees and time and things of that nature. So it's kind of like a system for that. Um, Dolly Bar is a system that I found on Virtualman. Like, wow, guys! I mean, you can run $1 million, $10 million company off of that. It's legit. So I think we might have enough time where we can go ahead and get going here. I'm gonna see if I can like just rename this because I don't want to get myself confused. So I'm gonna just go ahead and rename it. We're gonna call it server calculatedtees.com, and we're gonna go ahead and hit the confirm button. Now we're gonna try this again. So we're gonna get back over to our BitVice. We have root, and let's try logging in again. Accept and save. And I'm going to enter in my password. And how do you like that? We're in. All right. So this is kind of like what you would find within FileZilla. You see how you have like our local files that would be here on my desktop, and then remote files, which is what is in the server. And I mean, it's a nice way to kind of get familiar with what's up in there. Basically, just kind of like if you were to open up your own server or your own, desktop, I mean, you'd be able to see like all the things that are there. So that's kind of like what it looks like on the back end. I don't want to dive too much into that because it's not really needed. This is going to be your friend right here. So to begin with, what we're going to do is just follow the script. I mean, we're going to keep this nice and simple, guys. So the very first thing is installing Virtualmin. And so what I'm doing basically with my script is I'm going to go ahead and update the host name. I'm going to update this little section so we don't have hiccups down the line. I had to learn the hard way with that, so you're learning from my experience. We're going to go ahead and update and upgrade the packages that are within, the server. That way it's nice and ready, right? And then we've already done the PTR records, so that's good. You can notice how I've done that right off the bat because I forget. And then we're going to download the Virtualmin. We're going to update our password if need be. If you're in DigitalOcean, you'd have to do that basically. And then afterwards, we're going to go ahead and set up our Virtualmin servers. So at this point, I need to make sure, hey, by the way, don't forget to, create a N8N subserver. So I can go ahead and, plop that in there. All right. So with that being said, guys, let's just go ahead and dip right into it. Go ahead and go to our Virtualmin installer. And so what I just basically made up like a nice little bash program. We're going to go ahead and select all, copy, Control C. We're going to go in here and we'll just we're going to do Nano. So Nano is like the first, it's like an editing program. So we'll do Nano. And we're going to call this VM installer.sh. Okay, hit enter. And we're just going to right click, which will automatically paste that in there, which is nice. With BitVice, if I were to select all of this, you don't have to click any buttons afterwards. It automatically copies, and then you could use that, for Cloud or whatever it is, if you needed to troubleshoot. Okay, so to get out of this and save, we're going to go ahead and do Control X, hit yes or Y, and then enter. And now that's in there. And then we're going to go ahead and to bash vm installer.sh, hit enter, and we're going to go ahead and put in that server name that we have from before. So that PTR record is now going to go here. So we're going to do server.calculatedtees.com. Hit enter. It's going to go ahead and make those little changes, to that other folder that I made mention of before. And then it's going to go ask, hey, do you want to install this? And we're going to say yes. So hit enter. And this is where we're going to go ahead and wait. It's probably going to take about 10 minutes or so. So in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit more coffee, wet my whistle, and first I'll just check to see if any of y'all have any questions, if there's anybody there. If not, no worries. All right, nobody's there, not a problem. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just do like a little commercial break, if you will, and we'll make this nice and pretty for you guys. And I'll go ahead and get my coffee. I'll be back. Let me go ahead and put us back on here. All right. So I guess a little bit about me, guys. Let me just kind of get rid of the video capture here for the other one. I have always had an interest when it comes to computers, just because it's technical and it's fun, for me. And back in 2008, when we had a recession going on, that is something I gravitated towards. I was like, well, let me just start learning how to kind of put together websites. I had an idea that I would basically go to businesses and like sell websites. So that was kind of like my grand idea. And I learned how to put together WordPress sites. I learned the back end when it came to how to get things set up through like HostGator. Shared hosting, guys, is like and fast forward a little bit, DigitalOcean was just getting going, and I learned how to use that setup, and it was really something that I found interesting. So I was like, this is pretty cool. So basically I started learning how to go about doing it. Let me just kind of show you what's going on in the background here. So, with DigitalOcean, I learned how to, do the things that we're doing right now. And I figured that it would come in help to be helpful down the line, especially for industry or for business, right? We had a couple kids at the time, like two babies, boys. One was like one was two, Irish twins, my boys. And one day I decided that I just kind of go up the road a little bit and hit up all these businesses, with a little Vistaprint business card that I had made, and just say, hey, would you guys be interested in, services, out of maybe 40 businesses, I had people that were interested in like doing logo, and like another business that was kind of interested in it, but not really, with sales in general. I've done sales, like inside sales. I've done, I guess you would call it like B2C, business to consumer type stuff, knocking on doors for like pressure cleaning. And one thing I will say is that like the more people you reach out to, the higher probability of success. Plain and simple. And if you have two little baby boys, it helps. And so with the two baby boys, I would say honestly, with them, the closing rate was probably like 20%. If I were to do that now, let's say with just the knocking on doors, it might be more like around 15% that have expressed interest, and then maybe like one or two. Well, I would say probably two would like buy. If you were to do email, like an email campaign, like 1,000 emails for people you don't know, it's not uncommon to have just like maybe one or two people that would buy from you. So it's all a numbers game, honestly. But in regards to like what we're doing here, I figured let me kind of give people like a leg up, because we're already spending too much money on this new concept of services. So like each month you pay for, let's say, a school community. Okay, you're paying $99 for that service. Instead of having like a purchase price where you pay Microsoft, let's say, $200 for publisher or whatever, Microsoft Office. Now you're paying a monthly fee. So I don't like that. I really don't. This is kind of like trying to get you back to where you're in control of it. And that's one of the reasons why I like open source, because you're able to get your money's worth out of it. You get what you put into it, honestly. So what we're going to be doing is, pretty much that. I mean, you can set up your own courses. Here's a for instance. You have school, which is, fine. I mean, if you wanted to do that, but if you wanted to make your own course, here's a course at creativiz.com. And this is through open source software called Moodle. You can do quite a lot with Moodle. I mean, school is nice because it has that audience. That's basically where that $99 is going, in my personal opinion. And also they make it easy to set things up. You have a lot of control with Moodle. It's a little bit of a learning curve if you want to do the more difficult type stuff, like gamification, but it can be done. So, here's a for instance. This is just my ugly mug there. I'm sharing my failures or whatever, and then we're gonna go ahead and click start here. I'm not having anybody, sign in or anything like that. You're just going to sign access as a guest. I mean, this is free for you guys. I mean, this is, the school of hard knocks, things that I have learned, this is what I'm passing on. This was my attempt to be able to go ahead and kind of make money on the back end when it came to affiliate marketing. So, the, where was it? Maybe it was the business structure here. I'm not going to push this, guys, because well, I mean, hold on, resources. It's been a little while since I've been up here, as you can see. But as you can see, it kind of looks like school, right? I mean, you have your own little things. Yard book is awesome, guys. I mean, that is like a beautiful tool for service contractors. I mean, if you're just getting started and you need to kind of keep track of things and send invoices and estimates, this is your go-to, guys. Honestly, I mean, check that out. And then the other one, system.io. I mean, this is the affiliate type thing. So, I mean, don't worry about this. It's good when it comes to collecting leads and, sending emails and follow-ups and things of that nature. This is how you would kind of use it to, make additional money. Don't worry about this. Think about the concept, right? So my concept basically, or my go-to, if you will, is like back in the day, you had like the miners that were mining for gold, right? I mean, they were looking to make, themselves money. All those ghost towns that we have today, those were the guys that were making bank because all they were doing was supplying, the miners. Let them go ahead and do the work. I'll go ahead and provide, the services, but you go do the work. So, that's just kind of like my 2 cents on that. All right, so we got this taken care of here. Hopefully, we're able to log in with that email address. So let's just go ahead and copy that here. Remember how I said you could just highlight it and just it will automatically do it. So we're just going to highlight the copies, and then let's go ahead and see if we can get up in there. Go ahead and get out. Control V. And it is connected, guys. Awesome sauce. So today is a good day. So we're going to go ahead and log in. So the login that you have for your server, whatever it is that you chose, we're going to use that. But we're going to put a colon and then 10,000 after this to be able to log in. So this is what Webmin looks like on the front end. And we're going to put in root and the same information that you would have put into Bitfice to connect, okay? And we'll hit enter. And this is where the magic happens, guys. I mean, a lot of good stuff here. All right, so we're going to do our post installation wizard. So let's just go ahead and click next. Yes, we want a faster mail processing. Hit enter or next. Uses up to 2 gigabytes of RAM. Yes, next. Clam AV is a nice little virus scanner, guys. Run spam assassin. Assassin, my bad. Yes, next. And then we'll keep the settings as it is here. Click next. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of add in some extra stuff here. We'll just go ahead and click next. I'm only doing that because I'm doing the video. Otherwise, I put like an actual password in there. As you're putting these passwords in, guys, also be sure to record them. It will help you down the line when you need to make changes, okay? So like with that password, I would have saved it, okay? And then over here, we're gonna click skip check for resolvability because we don't want this to be like our name server. We already had that taken care of with Cloudflare. We'll hit next. And this is where we can go ahead and put our email address. So you could have that address, to send notifications and whatnot. For this, I'm just gonna go ahead and put my current email. And we'll hit finish. Okay, so that part has been set up. Now, the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a virtual server. So basically, I want to get things kind of up and running with N8N. So the name of my N8N system, we'll just call it system.calculatedteas.com. I'll go ahead and put a password in here. Actually, I'll put a different one. And we'll go ahead and create a server. So this is going to create the server for N8N. So typically it would be like N8N.calculatedteas.com. The reason why I'm changing that is just, to make it a little more difficult to find. That's all. By default, N8N has a different port. Instead of it being like 10,000 like Webmin, theirs is 5678. We're going to change that around too. So I can't say the word obfuscation. Basically kind of hiding it. I should probably look that word up. All right, so that's kind of like what we're gonna do. This is where you kind of have a sip of coffee or whatever, let it do its thing. But basically, it's gonna go ahead and set up the web server. It's gonna um, get the SSL certificate from Let's Encrypt, and you know how you have like the HTTPS in front. That's what it's going to do there. So it makes it safer when it comes to sending your information and banking stuff and whatnot. Um, if I haven't said it already, guys, this is not for accountants. It is not for finance. This is not for HIPAA type stuff. So if you have like a dental office or medical practice, this is not for you. I mean, I should probably said that from the get go. It is a very solid system. If you're going to use it for those type of businesses, I would use it for advertising. Okay, but if you're going to use it for your day to day, this does not match up to the level that is required for those institutions. It will probably get very, very close though. Okay. So out of like 10, by the time we're finished with it, we'll probably be like 8.59 ish versus what most companies are, which is nowhere close to that. So that's just my personal opinion, guys. I could be wrong, but I will say that, just the other day, last night, I took a look at like, I took a look at my mail server because like I was like, somebody's trying to get up in here. And no lie, guys. I mean, within a matter of 30 minutes, I had blocked, 60 different IP addresses that were trying to get up into, my system here. So it works. It works. I'm not going to say that it's 100%, because it's not. But it will fight off the majority of common attacks that are launched against you, and I think that's, something of value. So once this is finished, we're going to go ahead and go along with the remainder of what's there. So we're going to go ahead and install N8N. We're going to harden the system. N8N takes maybe about 5 minutes. Hardening the system could take about 15-20 minutes. And that's just because we're going to be doing these other type of things here with our email and making jails and things of that nature, preventing from SQL injection and I'm having a brain fart, but when everybody tries to, basically log into your server, those type of things. All right, so are we there yet? I think we might be there. Let's just kind of take a look, see. We'll just type in system.calculatedteas.com. And if we go over here, you're probably going to see that little HTTPS. Yep, there it is. Okay. All right, so it looks like that part has been set up. I'm going to go ahead and create just one more server just for calculated teas. That's where we're going to be able to put our WordPress site, and we'll also do the web or the email up in this section here. So let's just go ahead and do that. Let's just get it set up. And then with this one here, um, oh, this is, I should have, put the SSH key in the other one, but that's okay. We can, do that during the hardening process. But if you wanted to kind of be kind of safer from the get-go, let's just go ahead and create that key right now. That's what I was supposed to do beforehand. So my bad, guys. So let's go ahead and go into our Bitvice SSH client. We're going to go down to Client Key Manager, and we're going to go ahead and generate new. So we're going to go ahead and, I mean, you can select whatever you want here. I'm just going to make it like a little bit longer. And then I'm going to go ahead and just call this number one. Or actually, do I? Yeah, okay, we'll just call it number one. I'm going to go ahead and put a passphrase here that you would have to type in, be able to log in. I'm going to go ahead and take that off. And we'll hit generate. So this is going to generate private keys and public keys. The public key is what you saw before. Well, that was quick. Let's just go ahead and export that. We're going to go down to export, export to file, open SSH format, export. I'll put it onto the desktop just to make it easy. And instead of public key files, we're going to do a text file. And we'll just say, calculated keys, key. We'll just leave it like that. Okay. And so it provides you like a private key, which basically is stored here within Bitvice. That little password that you put in basically allows access to that to kind of get it over there, And then with that public password, that's kind of like you kind of like putting the key in and turning it, if you will. Okay. All right. So we got that there. And then let's go ahead and just take a quick look at that. I'll get back to you. All right. And what we're going to do is just go very bottom there, hit the delete key because we want it that. And we're going to paste that up in here. Control V. So that lovely password is up in there, or public key is, and then you can kind of take a look at these other things that are available there. That's up to you. I just want to make sure that I kind of dot my I's, crossing my T's, giving you guys what you need. We'll go ahead and create a server. And as it's doing that, I just want to see if I'm still up here, which I am. Yay! Okay. So with the control panel here at Contavo, I think we're pretty much finished with that. So yay, I'll go ahead and close that out. With this here, we'll keep Cloudflare open because we will be making adjustments to that. You'll see in a little bit. And then let me just kind of go back over to like that virtual min install part here, because like I said, I know there's something I'm probably forgetting. That was done with the software bash program. We're setting up our virtual min servers right now. So we did N8N already. We're doing the other one that will have WordPress. That will be up in here. So server is for our server, system is for the N8N. We have calculated T's, so that will have our WordPress. So we're good when it comes to that. And then taking a snapshot. Yes, okay. So before we continue, once this has been taken care of, we're going to go ahead and do an app upgrade and update and upgrade it. We're going to go ahead, reboot, and then we're going to take a snapshot, okay? Basically, this just allows everything to kind of take effect, gets it up, to the most recent version. And then when we take a snapshot, that's basically just copying everything and having a backup for it. Okay. So I guess I should have kept Contabo open just for that. My bad. All right, so let me go back over to Contabo. Oh, yay, I don't have to enter that in again. All right, so over here in Contabo, I'm going to go ahead and go over to VPS control. And it has snapshots. So basically, once we've done that, I'm going to go over here, click on the snapshot, and basically make a save on that. Okay. So for the meantime, we're just going to wait for it to kind of install. It looks like it's finished installing, which is awesome. Um, that will pretty much take care of that there. Let's go ahead and let's just go ahead and update, and then we'll continue on with the email and stuff like that afterwards. So in the meantime, let's just do a apt update and upgrade. Control C. Go back over to our little SSH here, and we'll just enter that in, and it's going to do its thing. Now we'll type in reboot, and this is basically going to disconnect because hey, it's no longer operating, right? So how do we know when it's kind of like back up and going? Well, you see how it still has like this little section open where we could either exit or abort. I mean, if it says abort, mainly means that it's still kind of going. And now it's going to pop back open. All right. So that's kind of nice about, Bitvice as well. Now we know that this thing is up and running. We're going to go back over into our Contabo, click on the snapshots, and scroll up a little bit. Now let's just go ahead and, well, I have one already here, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. But over here, you'd basically create a snapshot, create the name. I think there's like 2 that's included with that plan that I showed you guys. Otherwise, it's like maybe $2 a month, something like that. I mean, it's reasonable. I'm going to hit refresh because Contabo, I kind of had problems with snapshots before, so I wouldn't necessarily rely completely on that. Honestly, guys, you could do snapshots, but also back it up. I mean, like, just to be on the safe side, back it up. So we're going to go ahead and go over here, click on the snapshot, create snapshot, and set a name. So I'll just put today's date, 1/26/26, create. So this is before we get into the hardening and all the different features that or tweaks that we're going to be making. Okay, and the snapshot has been created. Awesome. Okay, let's go on to hardening, guys. So basically, we've gotten all that taken care of. The DNS records we'll get to in a moment. Actually, before that, let's go ahead and install N8N. So many of you guys are going to want this, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy that. We're going to get up into this little section here, and we're going to name this. So we'll just say nano N8N install .sh. Hit enter. You're going to right click, Control X, yes, enter. All right, and then we'll bash N8N install.sh. All right, so it's going to go ahead and ask you some questions. So we're going to enter in our N8N domain name. So system.calculatedteas.com. And it's going to go ahead and do its thing. Now, remember how we had that big, long key? Well, we're going to need that. So let's go ahead and do a Control C. Actually, I was thinking of the other one. This is installing N8N, which is fine. So we're going to go ahead and let it do its thing. It takes a little bit, as you can see. You're going to see like a whole bunch of warnings that pop up, basically saying that it needs to be updated. That is something I looked into. It's normal, guys. If you wanted to, look into it further, feel free to do so. But it's it's legit. It's going to install the latest stable version of N8N. I know that before 2.0, there was or is a nasty little bug that can basically get up in and do some serious damage. So if you have something that's before 2.0, most definitely update it, guys. And just kind of keep on top of things. I mean, basically when updates happen, you want to update it, so keep on top of what you got. This is what I was talking about before. So these are like type of packages that I'm sure is probably what was used, but once again, take a look, see what that means for you. And if you're comfortable afterwards, continue. Because I mean, as far as I know, when you're self-hosting, this is always going to show up. The other option, which is something that you can do as well, is go to N8N and let them host it. But it's probably not going to be quite as secure, honestly. So you could go to n8n.io and you could pay them, I think it's $20 a month. We'll go ahead and take a look. Go to our pricing. Yeah, starting at $25 or $20 a month. You can have 5 concurrent executions, all this type of stuff here. Um, we're paying like less than half of that, right? So you get what you put into it. That's all I got to say about that. All right, so let's go ahead. And, well, here's the thing too. I mean, down the road, they can decide, you know what, we're going to go ahead and charge for this. This is not necessarily open source. They just are letting us use it. So that you can also kind of keep in mind down the road too. I mean, this is probably going to be good for quite some time. But if somebody decides that, hey, now we want to charge like an arm and a leg for it, they have that, right to do so. So that's my thoughts on the matter, guys. I mean, take it with a grain of salt. I'm just kind of like a nerd over here just playing around. All right, so we're kind of getting closer towards the end of our npm. Pretty soon we should have n8n installed. Let me see if there's anything else here that I should be discussing with you. We can talk about hardening script, I guess, when we're actually hardening it. I did create a script for Moodle. So here's the thing, guys. Virtual Mint is awesome. I mean, it allows you to install many programs, but you have to pay for like 750 a month if you wanted to have like their support and also access to install many of the programs. Once you install one of those programs, you're basically locked into a license with them for whatever you install. If you decide that you wanted to discontinue paying that 750 a month, then basically you're supposed to uninstall that software. So there's a workaround which is called just installing it yourself. And so basically I made these scripts or these little programs where you can just click on it, install like we are doing now, and you're able to have that same software. So that's kind of like what I'm doing here. All right, so we have N8N installed. It installed the Node.js, npm, and N8N. So this is what we got going on there. All right, let's go on to the next. We're going to go over into our hardening. So we'll click on our hardening script. We're going to do Control A. copy, left click, and then we're going to type in nano harden.sh or whatever you want to call it, harden.sh. Going to right click. This is a little bit longer. I'm going to control X, Y, enter. All right, and then same thing, bash harden.sh. All right, so I understand, important, you must have your SSH key ready. Just for grins and giggles, let's go ahead and Control C, left click. Keep this terminal session open until you verify your SSH key, guys. You want to make sure you have access to it because you can get locked out and then you have to go up into the webmin and do troubleshooting and it's no fun, okay? All right, so I understand, all capital letters, enter. All right, email. We'll just go ahead and put Stefan at createabiz.com. Admin username for this. I wouldn't suggest using admin. For now, I'll just use my name. Enter. And then right click to enter in that big long SSH key. And then hit enter. We're going to change our SSH port. So you know how it says port 22 here? We're going to go ahead and change that. So let's just go ahead and change it 4242 for now. Hit enter. Webmin default we have is 10,000 instead of that 10,000 that was up over here. We're going to change that. So I'll just put 4200. Enter. Webmin user. That's for checking the email. We're going to put 2200. Enter. You can put whatever you want, guys. I mean, as long as it's within that range, you're fine. And then the end domain, we're going to put system.calculatedteas.com. Enter. We're going to change that port. So instead of 5678, let's just put 4567. Enter. Does this look right to you? Yep. Okay, so we're going to type in yes, enter, and it's going to go ahead and do its thing. All right, so what is it doing? All right, so on the back end, basically, this is what you're going to see. Is all this stuff that's going on in the background. Hardening script overview. Perhaps we can kind of see what's going on in the background as we do this. I'm going to minimize this. Maybe not. All right, so basically after applying the hardening script and manual configuration, a postfix, dovecot, basically receiving and sending out emails, we're going to have RK Hunter fail to ban. Your server has comprehensive security protection across multiple layers. So SSH will be further secured because we changed the ports. We're going to remove the login for root. Basically, it's going to force us to use the SSH key that we have from before. It's going to basically, protect against port 22. So don't have to worry about that anymore. It says it protects against dictionary, brute force password attack, compromised passwords, root account hijacking. Okay. Firewall, like I said before, we're not going to be using the standard firewall D, I think it is, that comes with virtualmin. We're going to switch it over to UFW. It's a very standard program. I mean, anybody within system admin will know what that is. That is within Linux. I'm going to take a little sip. UFW controls what network traffic can reach your server. So basically, as you're installing other software that uses these different ports, you need to make sure that those ports are enabled or disabled depending on what you want to have done. Basically, default deny policy, everything blocked unless explicitly allowed. So basically, we're saying allow these ports, port 4200, port 2200, 993, all that type of stuff, right? It will protect against port scanning, unauthorized service access, network-based exploits targeting unused services, DDoS. That's what I was trying to remember earlier. And then basically it secures core operating system behavior, the network stack, IP spoofing protection enabled, flood attack mitigation, protects the kernel, man in the middle, IP spoofing. Um, if you have this enabled, it would protect that. How it works: router advertisement rejected, prevents fake gateway attacks. I mean, it's doing its thing, guys. Honestly, with the email, I mean, this is what it's going to do. Basically, protects you against the man in the middle spam relay. So, guys, think of it this way: like when you have like your WordPress site and you have like a form, you don't want hackers basically hijacking that form and sending out emails that would supposed to be used for that form. They can basically use that and send whatever it is that they want to send out to whoever they want to send it to. So we want to avoid that type of stuff. With the email, will basically have a connection limits per IP address, maximum of 5. Total connection cap 10 simultaneous. So, I mean, it limits what can be done to begin with, and then it will protect against brute force attacks and things of that nature. So it's doing like all these things in the background, and then you have different layers of protection. So if it gets through this layer, then we're going to have this layer, and if it gets through that layer, then we have this layer. So it has like all these type of things that are taking place in the background to make it to make it more safe. And then in addition, let's see if we're still going here. Let's go ahead and test out our SSH. All right, so we're going to go over here. We're going to right click and we're going to click on the Bitvice SSH client. It's going to open up a new window. And what we're going to do is instead of that 22, we're going to put in that 4242 that we had before. And we're going to put in that new admin password or a new admin name. So like I said before, guys, you want to make sure that you're writing down this information as you go along. Don't have like one main password for everything, because I mean, once one thing is compromised, it can kind of go from there, right? And then instead of here's the password that I had. Oops. Hit enter and log in. Same deal, accept and save, and here we are, bada bing, bada boom, we are in. Now, I'll go ahead and exit out of that. For this section here, you can add a password in for this user if you like. If you don't want to do that and you still want to be able to have admin access and capabilities, the easiest way to do that is just type in sudo -s. And that basically makes you the root user for that now. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of like minimize that. We're going to keep within this program still. We'll type in yes and let it continue doing its thing. So now it's going to go ahead and close out port 22. It's going to update the webmin, human, usermin ports, and all this other type of stuff. Okay. All right. So going back to like our hardening, it's going to do aid, which is basically it creates a cryptographic fingerprint for file systems. So basically, kind of just takes everything and just makes it different. Makes it more difficult. So it protects against rootkit installations, backdoor implementation, configuration tampering. When things happen, you'll know about it basically. RK Hunter, helps secure against hidden malware and rootkits, known backdoor signatures, system integrity violations. So all this is happening like there in the background because of the world that we live in today. I mean, if we were to be alerted to every single time that happened, you would go crazy. So I'm not having it alert us when every single type of thing happens, when it's being blocked. I'm having it alert us when things change that are not supposed to change. And hey, by the way, hello, check it out, So that will give you like peace of mind, but it is running in the background. And Yeah. So I mean, basically, automated maintenance, unattended security upgrades. This is, what are guys? I mean, this is Chat GPT or AI blowing wind up your butt. I mean, I wouldn't go that far. But I would say that out of 10, we're getting like probably between an 8 and 9, maybe closer to 9 score when it comes to protection. Okay. Protects against all these type of things. We're gonna lock it down PHP to a good degree. When using WordPress, you need to use like something like WordFence or something that will protect PHP and these other type of things, because that will bring you kind of like up to a 9 out of 10 when it comes to security. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, all this stuff here, guys. I mean, so what you're protected against. I mean, all this stuff here, and then what you're not protected against. Well, I mean, sophisticated nation state attacks. I mean, if you have China attacking you guys, you're probably not going to survive, right? It's not going to protect you against zero-day exploits. A large scale volume DDoS attacks. I mean, if you have like 10,000 people attacking you at once, it's probably not going to save your day. And then SQL injection. Well, this is what I was talking about before. I mean, we need to have what do you call it? Word fence. That type of thing. We are going to put in like a little bit of measures to help against with that though. Word fence. We do need to install cross scripts scripting. So I mean, it's not going to protect against everything, guys, but it's going to help you when it comes to a lot, so it's not gonna, protect you from being stupid. I mean, nowadays you don't even have to be stupid. I mean, the attacks that are happening when it comes to social engineering and phishing. I mean, these guys are getting much more advanced, where it's very difficult to find out whether or not you're being phished or, um, you know, being attacked. That's not going to protect you against weak, passwords, things of that nature. So, to begin with, once we're finished with this, this specific script, it should be like between 7.5 to 8 out of 10. To achieve the 9 out of a 10, enable Cloudflare DDoS protection. So we'll go ahead and do that. Install WordFence on WordPress sites. Okay, enable two-factor. We'll go ahead and do that. So that will bring up, to about 9 out of 10, right? And then to achieve 10 out of 10, you could, do intrusion prevention systems and, hire a professional penetration tester, things of that nature. So it'll get you almost there, but not quite. All right, guys. And so this is kind of like what we got going on here. All right. So it's still doing it's still installing. I mean, there's a lot that it's doing in the background. In the meantime, let's just kind of take a look at our security here for Cloudflare. So let's just go ahead and scroll on down to security. Now let's just click on overview. All right, so we have these things that you just want to make sure it's protecting, like it said before, DDoS attacks and web app exploits and things of that nature. Detection tools. Do you see how it says 1 out of 2 running? Well, let's maybe take a quick look at that. Let's view all. Detect and mitigate automated traffic with bot fight mode. Oh, let's click on that. I'm not sure if that's a paid service or not. AI Labyrinth modifies your the no-follow link added do not alter the contents of your web pages and are only visible to bots. All right, why not? So we'll go ahead and click on it. It's in beta, so I mean it could be a little funky. You never know. And then it says bot fight mode. We'll go ahead and click on that. You can manage your robot text, set how Cloudflare manages your robot text files, which tells bots and crawlers how they should interact with your site. So you know, here you could have AI help you when it comes to generating like a robot text type thing. So I'm not going to cover that here, but I mean, you know, it's there, guys. Okay. API abuse. I mean, I don't think we really need to kind of click into that there. But there is one thing that I wanted to show you. Let's get over to maybe with security insights again. Let's try adding a filter. So I think this is where we would do it. No, that's not it. Web application firewall. Just bear along with me here, guys. Turn on the fan. It's hot. Oh, I guess not. Basically, what I'm looking for is to be able to block countries. Maybe settings. I have to get back to that. I'm having a brain fart. I think I put that in within like what are the scripts here? I'll get back to that. All right. So in the meantime, basically we are done with this beautiful section here. I mean, it's going to come up with these warnings because it's just popping up and it's doing its thing. That's normal. All right. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and let's just close out all this stuff here. That's going to drive me batty. We're going to go into the next little section here. So we're going to go ahead. I mean, if you wanted to take a quick look at and see, I mean, basically our N8N is not going to be working right at the moment. I mean, honestly. So I'm going to go ahead and close out this. If we were to type in system.calculatedteas.com, it's going to be like, I don't know. Or maybe it is. Okay, cool. Let's just set that up real quick. You can click that if you like. You know, basically, it's good to have like those security updates. You can fill that out if you like. You know, it's up to you. And you could go ahead and get the free key. For now, I'm going to go ahead and skip. And then here we are when it comes to our workflows. We're able to get up in there, which is good. All right. Excuse me. All right. So what we're going to do next, I'm just going to exit out of that little section there. We're going to do a little tweaking. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in this little command here. We're going to do Control C, hit enter. And you see how it has like this information here? I'm surprised that we're able to log in. So I don't know if it actually changed, which is not good. But we're going to change this to 4567. Actually, this is what we're going to do. We're going to paste this in and change accordingly. How about that? Control K, I'm sorry. So you go up to the top, Control K will delete the line, and then right click. That doesn't look like it. Try this again. Control C, go back up here, Control K, right click, and then it's basically going to go back to itself. You know, instead of it going to the 000 where everybody can see it, it's going to go back to itself, and then we'll make the adjustments here. So we wanted to update it to, hello, 4567. This little section here, I'm going to go ahead and just comment that out. I mean, if you wanted to update your N8N with other nodes, you'd be able to do so. It opens up the opportunity for hackers to use those nodes to get into your N8N. So use this judiciously. There's always a way to add in a specific node versus everything. So if you wanted to just throw caution to the wind and just have everything available, then you would just keep that open. Okay, but for now we're going to go ahead and comment that out, and then we're going to do Control C, and then yes, Control X. I'm sorry. Yes, enter. All right, so that'll take us back over here. Save and exit. All right, so let's just go ahead and give our permissions to our any end users. So we're going to go ahead and copy this and right click, put it up in there. And we're going to go ahead and do the same over here. As you can see, guys, I'm a little sleepy. All right. So we're going to give it like about a minute or so for it to kind of restart and go through its process. And then in about, a minute, we'll go ahead and take a look, see what's going on. Okay, so as you can see, it's doing its thing. Control X, nope, Control C. I'll get us out of there. All right. All right, and then we can check to see if it's listening in on that port that we have, right? So let's do Control C, right click, and we're going to change this to 4567, enter. And it looks like it is, which is cool. All right. You see how it's not showing the 000, so that's fine. All right, so that part has been taken care of. Now let's go on to the next little section where we're going to update Apache. So this is for N8N only domains. So there's a difference between what we're doing here for the N8N and a difference between what we would do for WordPress. Okay, guys. So I just want to make that distinction very clear. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. All right. So step one, we're going to go ahead and open up our domain. So we're going to go sudo nano. We're going to type in this big long thing here. Hit copy, right click, and we're going to put in our domain name. So system.calculatedtees.com.conf. So that's going to take us into this lovely little file here. And what we're going to do is delete a whole bunch of stuff and put some stuff in it. Okay. So we're going to replace your domain name.com with your actual domain. Well, I mean, okay. All right. So we got two sections. We got the section 80, and then we got section 443 down below. We're going to clean up both sections. So in 80, we're going to delete these lines. Okay. So I thought I had deleted that little section there. But basically, we're going to scroll on down to script alias CGI bin. Script alias CIG bin. We're going to delete that. We're going to delete the AWS stats home dash system, the bin, AW stats. Okay, I'm just kind of making sure I'm giving you guys the lowdown. I just want to make sure we're doing everything that we're supposed to be doing. All right, so basically we got 1, 2, 3. Okay. The public user home, no X. Okay, so this next one here, we're deleting that whole block. Directory home system CIG bin. I believe we're deleting that one too. Yeah. Require all granted. Yeah, we're deleting this one here. Bah, 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 bah. All right, so it's going to be, and then the rewrite conditions we're going to do on down, and we're going to remove the PHP. So all this here, we're saying bye-bye. And that, I believe we're saying goodbye to this as well, PHP, remove it. Yeah. So probably before even doing all that, you might want to make a copy of it just to make sure, but oh well. And then you're going to see here, well, it has like all this stuff that was written in there. Since then, I've done like an update, so kind of bear this in mind. Add this to port 80 after cleanup. So what we're going to do, this little section here is basically what you want to see, right? I'm going to copy this here. Proxy pass. I want to make sure that that's there. but we don't want it twice. So we just want to make sure on that. I'm gonna have to update this, guys, because like I just updated this and this doesn't look quite right. And that's just all part of it. I mean, it is what it is. Um, for now, I'm gonna leave that up in there. We're gonna change this because I know that doesn't belong like that. We're gonna change it up to the new one. That WebSocket support section, that's where this goes. So we're going to take this little section here. I'm going to have to make this more clear for you guys, but I'll go ahead and copy this. The proxy pass, we're going to go ahead and replace this. Going to take this little section here, copy, and we're going to delete this down here. Bump, 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 and we'll put that in. Let's see how this goes on live, guys. Hopefully I haven't destroyed it. Then we'll go ahead and clean up our 443. So I'm going to make a copy of all this before, I hope, before we continue. But if anything, we'll be able to kind of pull a copy of the template from like the other one that we had created, which is good. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go on down a little bit here, and we're going to do the same thing. We already had the proxy pass. Well, no, we're going to take that off. I'm going to just put a little section here, and then the files match all this. Here we're going to delete the PHP type stuff. Definitely want to with the AW stat that I know we can take out. And basically stop where it has that ssl.ca. Now I'm going to take a quick look up here as well. I just want to make sure that things are legit from my end. Delete these lines from port 443. So this here, I want to see if that matches up with rewrite engine on the .host webmail. I want to get rid of that, it looks like, right? Admin, rewrite rule. All right, so the rewrites is what we're going to delete here. So we're going to do Control K, 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 K. Okay. And then after cleanup, this is what it should look like. If anything, we could just copy paste that. Maybe I should do that in the future, huh? All right, so basically it looks like we're doing okay. I didn't want to delete too much. Now the proxy pass / well known, I don't want to have it twice. So I think we already have that up here, right? So let's just hold off on that for now. SSL engine on, yes. certificates are there, yes. And then we're going to add mod security, right? So we're going to add this right after the custom log line. So where's the custom log line? How would you find that? Well, to find that, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and copy, like let's say this little section here. So we'll do Control C. And when we're up in here, we're going to do a Control W. This is kind of like a search. And then just right click and then hit enter. And that will take us right over to that custom log var log type line, right? And what is it saying? Add this line right after the custom log line. So what are we adding? We're going to add in the mod security. And the proxy pass well known? No, we're not. We already got that. So we're just going to put in this section. So we're going to do Control C. Just make sure it's not up in there. Enter, enter. You see how we already have that there? So we're going to do a right click that adds that in. And that proxy pass, well, we already had that from before, so I don't need to enter it in. That's why I did that. Okay. And if you want to do, you could do the indentation to make it all nice and pretty. I'm just going to go ahead and just continue on with this right now. Make sure all that looks like it's matching up. And then it says add NADIN configuration to port 443. Add this after the SSL certificate line. We're going to basically get back over here. Like I said, guys, I had made some changes before. So right now, like where the N8N reverse proxy is, I just want to make sure that this all matches up. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to delete what was here from before. We'll hit enter, and this is what we're going to paste in there, guys. So we're going to go ahead and copy this right here. And we're going to put that just before that virtual host thing there. So we're going to do a copy. Right click, boom. All that is just placed up in there. And now we're going to do a Control X, Y, and here we are. Okay, so now we got that up in there. We're going to go ahead and just double check, I guess. Let's just double check. Make sure all the ports that we have are 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. I might have deleted the wrong one. It's like all this right here. That doesn't look right. Because when you look at like the 83, it shouldn't be up in 83. All this other stuff, like for the N8N type stuff, it shouldn't be up in the 80, right? So what I'm seeing here right now is that proxy pass well known. Okay, that all this here I believe belongs down there. So My bad, guys. Let me just, reconfirm what I'm doing before I do it. It's been a minute since I've done this, honestly, and I redid things, so I apologize. But this is all part of it. I mean, just it's all part of it. So 443. Let's go back up here. 480 section should look like this. It has all this here, and then after that, it stops at the rewrite rule. So it has all this here. Let's just do this here. Let's just do a copy. We're going to take this out. That doesn't belong there. Okay. Now we'll go down into this here. So that big long thing that we had pasted in, that looks like it's legit. That belongs there. And it's with that little security header that's up on top there. Virtual hosts. Okay. That looks more legit. Now, I was changing like the 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's go ahead and go over here. 4, 5, 6, 7. Is there anything else here? Well, yeah, there is. Look. So 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. Think in the future, I'll just like copy and paste and be done with it. Just make the changes instead of having to delete everything. So my bad, guys. So, but we'll go ahead and do a Control X. Yes. And then let's just kind of continue on and see if that works. Okay. So what we're going to do is save and test. We're going to go over to this little command here where it says sudo apache 2 ctl config test. I just want to see if this is going to work. So Control C, right click, says okay. So okay, let's go ahead and do this big long command, enable Apache modules. So we're going to go ahead and copy this. Going to right click over here. Bada bing, bada boom. Go ahead and reload Apache 2. Copy, right click. All right. And we're going to verify that N8N is working. Instead of just copying that whole command, let's just jump up there. Let's see something. Just refresh. Isn't that a beautiful thing? It looks like it's working. Okay. All right, so that section is done. Then we can just verify the status of N8N. If you wanted to see if it's listening in on that again, you could do so. That's up to you. We've already done the refresh. If you get bad gateway, here's a quick troubleshooting type stuff that you'd be able to do. I mean, there is a method to the madness, guys, but that took a little bit longer than it should have. All right, so I'll go ahead and save because there was something I erased there that I didn't want. All right, so we got done with that section there. When we go ahead and install WordPress, basically we're going to go ahead and update the config file for the WordPress. Okay, this one, keep all the existing virtual config. I think this one should be a little bit easier. Let's just go ahead and do it. So what is the WordPress one? So I had that where it's going to be stored at created or calculatedtees.com. So it's not going to be system.calculatedtees. It's going to be calculated tees, right? So how do we find that? So we're going to go ahead into nano etc patch a2 sites dash available slash calculated tees.com.conf. Nope, not quite. What did I miss? Let's go as far as calculated tees and see what we got or available. So if I wanted to see like what's available, what has been created here, I'm just going to go to change the directory. So CD, and then I'll just hit enter here. And then I'm going to go ahead and list. And so what you see here is what we got. We got calculatedtees.com.com. I spelled it wrong. That's what happened. I was like, why isn't it there? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do nano calculatedtees.com.conf, and there we are. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing again. This time it should hopefully be a little bit easier, a little bit better. What I'm going to do, I know that we're going to, well, let's just follow. All right, so basically we're going to look for port 80. We're going to leave 80 as is. Okay, beautiful, bada bing, bada boom. We're going to go down to add mod security to port 443. So we're going to go ahead and just push the down arrow. And this little 443 section is what we're playing with, okay? All right, so in 443, we're going to find this line, the custom log type thing, that big old thing there. And if you can't find this for whatever reason, you could always do the Control W and then look it up that way. And add this immediately after it. So custom log var domain log combined. And then we're going to add in our mod security basically. So we're going to do copy, enter, and then right click. We're going to put it right in there, okay? And then continue with the rest of your config. So for WordPress, use secular engine on. So we got sec rule engine on. Step 4, find the SSL certificate anchor line. Scroll down in 4.4 until you find it. And then what we're going to do is add in this. So Control C, and we're going to scroll on down, and basically right after this is where we're going to put it, okay? So we'll just hit enter. We'll do right click. All that stuff is up in there now. I'll do another little thing down there, and then we'll Control X, yes, enter. Wasn't that much easier? Okay. We can go ahead and test it out, make sure it seems like it's running, right? I guess I should have done Control C. Looks like it's running. and we'll go ahead and reload Apache 2. So basically what this is doing, guys, is it's securing your website even before you get it up and running, okay? And that's the name of the game. I mean, if you want to be secure, it does require a little extra effort. In the long run, it pays off, okay? Just think of like how much would it cost you when it comes to, your website is hacked and now you got to tell everybody and all that, right? All right, so we haven't installed WordPress as of yet. Let's just go ahead and do that. I mean, we're already here. Let's go back up into our webmin. Let's refresh just in case. Yeah, something doesn't look right, right? That's because we're at 10,000. So let's try 4,200, guys. All right, so let's take that off. Let's put in the 4,200. Hit enter. And this looks more like what we're supposed to see, right? Okay, so far it's going okay. Yay! I'm happy for that. You're gonna see some information that shows what's going on in regards of all this. Now, Clam virus scanning server doesn't seem to be running. We could hit the go button if you want right now, but let's hold off on that for the time being. Let's go ahead and get our email going. How about that? Let's start with that. So we're in calculated teas right now. Let's go ahead and add a user. So I'm going to put in like Stefan at calculatedteas.com. Okay. So right now we're going to go down to add web server user. It doesn't look right. Let's click on edit virtual server. That's not it either. Bear along with me here, guys. Should be edit users. Oh, I did the wrong button. Should be add user up here. My bad. All right, so here we're going to go ahead and put Stefan at calculated T's. I don't want everybody to have access to FTP. I just want email only. If you wanted for this user to have access to all of that, you could do that. I wouldn't recommend it. We'll go ahead and put in a password. And then we'll go ahead and hit create. So this is the raw deal, guys. I mean, this is how long it actually takes to set up a web server. This is what businesses are paying for. It takes time. It takes some thought. It is what it is. But once you kind of have like a grasp of how things work, it comes together pretty quickly. Believe it or not. All right, so we got our user now, and let's just go ahead and kind of go down the list here. So what we're going to do, let's go ahead and manage web apps. No, not that one. Manage web server. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. So I should probably be going off of like a list. I'm not. I'm sorry, guys. We'll click on DNS settings. We do want to get that up and running. So DNS options. That looks more like it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and click on DMARC record. Yes, we want to enable that. We're going to leave the rest of this stuff alone because that's handled on the Cloudflare side. DNS records we're going to take a look at in a little bit. We'll go into manually editing type stuff, but right now let's just kind of go on down the list. Web configuration. Click on website options. No, it was the next one, I think. No, it is this one. We want to redirect all requests to SSL sites. So basically, we don't want it to, open up in HTTP. We want it in HTTPS. So in website options, you want to click yes under redirect here. Okay, save. I don't think we need to do anything in the redirect section here. Let me just double check. This is if you wanted to like have let's say your web name slash, let's just say, go to this website. Basically, you'd be able to forward to like a different website here, which is helpful, but we're not doing that right now. We'll click on mail options. Doesn't feel right. For now, we'll leave this as is. Go down to system settings. You can upgrade to Virtual Mint Pro. I'll show you why you may or may not want to do that, but we're not going to do that right now. Email settings down here. This is definitely where we want to be. So this is the DKIM. So we're going to go ahead and click on this little domain keys identified, and we're going to go ahead and do yes for the signing. You can change that, to a different number if you like. That's up to you. And we're just going to go ahead and click save. So yes to the signing of outgoing type stuff. Okay. All right, so we got that taken care of. Let's scroll back up into our mail options. Not that one. Email settings, my bad. Click on email gray listing, enable. Mail rate limiting, we're going to do on the hardening side. So we're going to skip that for now. That should pretty much be it. So what we're going to do real quickly is we're going to just make this kind of easy on ourselves. Okay, we're going to go over to the DNS. Where's the DNS settings? We're going to hit the DNS records, and then down below where it says manually edit records, we're going to click on that. And this is where it's going to have like all our records. So basically, this is what we're going to need to put into Cloudflare. So I'm going to go ahead and go back into Cloudflare, and we're going to go over to our DNS, and we're going to hit records. Calculated T's is pending until you complete the instructions on the overview page, and we are able to verify ownership. So let's just click on that because otherwise it may not work. Okay. Your note is pointed to Cloudflare. Okay, well, it seems like it was working to me. I mean, does it look like it was working to you? Maybe I'm going too fast. Who knows? We'll go ahead and go back into DNS. At least we can get the records up in there. Okay. So before I was saying that, hey, we had the SPF1 and DMARC, and we could kind of keep it in place. So this is what we want to, paste in. So we're going to take this text record here, and we're going to do a Control-C. And where it says that SPF1, we're going to edit, scroll up a little bit, and we don't want that. You see how it has that little squiggly line? We want that squiggly line, okay? But we're gonna hit Control V to paste that up in there. That little question mark, we're going to backspace. We're going to hit Shift, and the little character just to the left of the one is that squiggly line. So we'll go ahead and click on that. We'll go ahead and delete the IP6 address. We don't need that. We probably don't need the IP4, but we'll just leave it there for now for grins and giggles and hit save. All right, so that's up in there now. Okay, the demarc records. We'll go ahead and hit the edit. You see how it has admin add example? Well, we don't want that there. All right, so the demarc records, we have this big long thing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get just within where that V is. I'll kind of go over to the left here, and I'm gonna copy that whole line. And what I'm gonna do is replace this with that. Okay, and then you could change this up. I already changed. I don't have Postmaster up in there. I'll just change it to Stefan because we created a user for that, right? And then we'll hit save. It's not quoted correctly. Ensure it begins and ends with double quotes. So let's just go ahead and put a quote in. Maybe it needs a quote. Or maybe because I had the quote in, my bad. Save. Okay. We're going to add in the DKIM as well. So what is the DKIM? It's over here. So you see how it has like that 202.600 and then domain key and all that type stuff there? Well, that's what we want to enter in. It's been a minute since I've done this, guys, so I'm not going to pretend I remember. What I'm going to do is basically say, let's copy all this here, and I'm going to plop that into ChatGPT. Like I said, I'm going to make it easier on myself. Help me set up records for Cloudflare. And then I'll just hit the Control V, boom. All right. These records are from virtual and tell me exactly how to set it up in Cloudflare. I do have instructions on how to do this, guys, but it's been a minute. I don't remember where it's. Oh, we have a kitty cat here. Watch out, guys. She's going to try to get up on top of the laptop. All right, so it says what I have now. Do not proxy. Well, was it saying that I need to change? It says name calculated teas, mail server, mail calculated teas.com. Maybe it's the name I need to change. So let's go ahead and change that name. We'll go over here. Instead of calculated T's, that's supposed to be an @ sign. Go ahead and save. I got a kitty cat that's distracting you guys. She's distracting. All right, so that's correct. Awesome sauce. All right, so according to this, the DMARC record is broken. That must be fixed. Cloudflare is going to automatically put in like the quotation marks, so I'm not too worried about that. But just for grins and giggles, I'll go ahead and take that, and I'm going to plop that in here, and we're going to go ahead and paste that. Okay, so that's taken care of. We'll go ahead and save, and then what I'm concerned about right now is the DKIM records, right? Yes, missing the DKIM records. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and type in this 202.600 underscore domain key. So basically what was up in here, where'd it go? Like this section here, just before like that period is what we're going to copy and paste up into the DNS records. So we're going to add, I'm going to do a text record, and Control V, that's what we're going to use for the name. And then for our setup, it's going to be this big long thing. We're going to hit the copy. For some reason, I thought I saw a quotation in there. All right, seeing things. And then we're going to paste that up in there, and we're going to go ahead and save. All right, so right now, it looks like our email is set up. So this is what you want to make sure you have. You want to make sure you have your DKIM records. You want to make sure that you have your MX records. You want to make sure you have the mail, with the A record, and then SPF1, DMARC. So all that there, I mean, basically, if you need help, just ChatGPT, help me out. I want to make sure this looks right, okay? Once you're finished with that, let's go ahead and log into our email, okay? So we're going to go over to calculatedtees.com:2200. Let's see if I can remember the password. All right, so Stefan at calculatedtees.com, and then the password. Nope, not that one. All right, there we go. So the first email that we're going to send out is not going to be to ourselves. Sorry, guys, no. We're going to go over to something called mail-tester.com. And basically, this is going to tell us, how strong or how trustworthy is our email. So we're going to go ahead and copy this little section here. And we're going to go ahead and create a new message. We're going to paste that up in there. And we'll just call this test, and we'll go ahead and send. All right, so that's been sent out. And then let's go ahead and check our score. Voila. All right, so this is a trustworthy email. Basically, it's trustworthy. We can go ahead and use this for sending out email to people. Okay, it'll go to Google or Yahoo or whatever service, because it is trustworthy. It matches up with everything that we have set up. Okay. Ooh. All right. So that part is done. Um, for grins and giggles, let's just make sure that N8N is working. Okay. So we got N8N. Let's just go ahead and add a first step. We'll just do manual trigger, and then let's just do, let's say, HTTP request. No errors are being thrown. That is a good thing. I'm happy to see that. So it looks like that's working. Awesome sauce. So I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and update our failed to ban and postfix and dovecot and RK Hunter and SQR and all this fun stuff, guys. So this is where we're basically making sure that our email is hardened or is more secure. Very important, guys. So let's go ahead and get into the next one. So I just updated this. I'm hesitant to use it because I'm not 100% sure that this is going to work. Let's do our fallback for now. I haven't tested that out yet. So let's just go ahead and do this here. So we're going to do sudo nano, and we're going to jump into our postfix, okay? All right, so in postfix, we're going to add the following under TLS parameters. So find or add. I believe we need to just add this. So let's just do a control C, control W, right click. Oh, it's there. How do you like them apples? All right, so 128 your server IP /32. So what is our IP again? Ah, well, one way that we can find that out without having to log back in, well, maybe we can log into Contabo. I don't know if it's still there or not. We can try it. We could also go to, like, the webmin. Let me show you guys how that would work. Here it is. Check that out. So here's that 77, whatever it is, right? So we're gonna copy that. /32, right? So we want it to, match up with what we have there, okay? And then basically we need to add in like all of this stuff here. So let's just go ahead and copy. I'll just paste it down below here on the bottom, okay? We're going to disable this one. So copy, control W. I'm having a brain fart, guys. Bear along with me. Control W, right click. I guess it's not up in there. Okay, that's fine. Oh. Yeah. Let's just add that to the bottom. Okie dokie. All right, so go ahead and X, Control X, yes. Basically, I was supposed to copy like that whole section and I didn't, okay? And then we're gonna go ahead and do a restart. There we go. And then we could do an optional thing where it says to enable post screen to block spam bots before SMTP handshake. So let's just go ahead and do that, right? Right click. And if you wanted, you could ask ChatGPT how to enable SMTP rate limiting and so on and so forth, which is maybe what I had done, in regards of updating things, right? All right, so for now, I mean, this makes our system more secure. Let's continue on to the next one. Dovecot. So go ahead and Control C, and we're right click up in there. And this is what we're going to paste. We're going to copy all this down to that. Right click, paste it. Control X. Yes. Enter. Control C. Right click, enter. And let's just go ahead and run this right quick. All right, that's cool. All right, so we're done with that one. Awesome sauce. Go on to the next one. Go ahead and edit our RK Hunter. So Control C, right click, and this is the settings that I had beforehand, which caught everything. So I mean it does its job. I'm sure I did additional tweaking, which kind of makes things a little bit easier when it comes to running things. Let me just see if you guys have any questions or anything like that. If anybody's here, no, awesome sauce. All right. All right, so let's go ahead and find this. Control C, Control W, right click. All right, so that's where our update mirrors is, mirror mode. All right, so you see how it says 1 over here. We're going to make that into a 0. This is where our mail on warning type stuff is. And we want to include us, right? So let's go ahead and uncomment this. And let's put in our email address. Look for disable tests. Let's Control W, right click. Do you see anything over here? This right here. All right, so disable test, we want to have it equal none. Copy. Actually, let's just copy that whole thing. Copy. Control K, right click. I think I need to add this, but we'll double check. We'll do Control C, Control W, right click. Okay, we're going to change that to 0. And then we're going to add in this. So we're going to do Control C. I'll just do it down below where I can find it here. Right click. Going to find this right here. Control W, right click. And we're going to delete this little section here. And then we'll go ahead and exit out. So we're going to go ahead and control, whoop, not that one, control X, yes, enter. I'm going to do update. And the reason why I wasn't able to do this in the script is just because there's a lot of moving parts, right? So that's why I kind of broke it down a little bit. That way, if you need to take a break or whatever, you're able to do that, right? Or if I needed to take a break. And I'm just following, the commands as we go down the line here, okay? Okay, so this pretty much takes care of that. Let's get up into our SQL injection protection. And here we have a lovely script. So this is so much easier for us, right? So what we're going to do once this thing is done, we'll just go ahead and copy all of this and make a script here. So we'll just let this finish up, all right? And then we're going to do nano sql.sh, enter, right click, all that goes up in there, control X, yes, enter, and then we're going to go ahead and run it, bash sql.sh. Folder for email, Stefan at createabiz.com. And it's going to go ahead and do its thing. We can exit out of this, and that should be pretty much it for now when it comes to the hardening of our server. After that, we'll go ahead and log or try to install WordPress. It may not do it just because of mod security. So with that being the case, I'm going to go ahead and open this up and I'll just scroll on down. If anything, we may have to temporarily turn it off and then we can turn it back on, okay? So for now, this is kind of like where we're at. Let's just go ahead and try to install WordPress, okay? We don't need to worry about this. All right, so we're going to go into manage web apps. So this is kind of like where you can have some fun if you want to, to see the type of different things that you can install into your server. I believe the majority of this is like open source, so most of this is going to be free. If you wanted Virtualmin to install it for you and pay that monthly fee and have their support, I think that's like $7.50 a month. It may or may not be worth it. It's up to you. One thing I will say is that Suite CRM is pretty cool. It's great for when it comes to sales. When it comes to Dolly Bar, I mean, that is very impressive. There's a pretty large learning curve when it comes to that. So kind of pick your poison when it comes to, how do you want to manage your business. Um, there's what else we got? Modic, that's for email campaigns, things of that nature. Moodle is for courses, that I showed you. Nextcloud is very similar to what's it called? I forget. I mean, basically, it's kind of like a Dropbox that but you're able to like make edits like you would on like a Google Cloud type thing, to your documents. Okay. Own Cloud is a little bit more secure when it comes to that, I guess, but it's not as feature rich. Um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can do. So in our particular situation, we're going to go over to WordPress. You click on the little dot, scroll on down, and then show install options. So at this point, guys, I'm kind of like crossing my fingers, hoping that this works just because I would like it to. We're going to install at the top level, and we're going to call this calculated teas, right? I'm going to go ahead and change calculated teas. The login will change to my name. And this little section, guys, I am not going to show you. So just bear along with me. We'll just go ahead and go into our OBS. and we'll just kind of go on from there. So let me log, or let me create a password here that I'm comfortable with. And then afterwards, you could just hit the install now button down below. Please match the requested. What? Bear along with me. I'm having problems with my password. Okay, I guess it just didn't like the password I had entered. All right, so after that, basically you're going to see a screen. That looks like this. Are you sure you want to install WordPress into the directory and all that? And you say yes. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here again because I don't want you all to see my password. Right now it's checking PHP modules. It's installing, the PHP SS. So far, so good to do with it. And the documentation, I mean, if you have like any problems with WordPress, I mean, there is always like a video or some kind of workaround that somebody has done already, so I know there's like a lot that is to be said in regards to like what AI can do and what it's coming up with, but there's also something to be said about not having to worry about what's going on the back end, right? So far so good. It says it's reloading PHP and it's applying web server configurations, and I think, guys, it is working. So what I'm going to do, it says WordPress installation completed. It can be accessed at calculatedtees.com. I'm going to go ahead and go over to there, and I'm going to go ahead and log in. So I think at this point I can go ahead and show you what I'm doing. Go ahead and type in my name. Go ahead and put that in and log in. How do you like that? We got WordPress, guys. All right, so the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to install WordFence because honestly, right now, there's a log that just popped up and somebody's like, ooh, there's a new WordPress site. Let's go ahead and try attacking it. So I'm going to go ahead and search for WordFence. And we're going to install that right now. I'm going to go ahead and activate it. And we'll let it kind of do its thing. We're going to go ahead and get our WordFence license. One moment. And I'm just using the free version. It's up to you if you wanted to pay for it. It's, that's all I got to say about that. I'm okay waiting for 30 days, and we'll just go ahead and put in Stefan at calculatedtees.com. I do not want all that, and then we'll hit register. All right, so it's going to go ahead and send us an email, right? Oh, yay, we're going to get our first email. Okay, so where are we getting our first email from? I think I already logged out of it. Oh, rude. Here's another shortcut, if you will. You can go over to edit users. Let's say if you forget it, this is how you would be able to basically reset or log in. Well, log in, we'll put it like that. We'll go ahead and click on my username, Stefan. You could change the password here if you wanted to, but I just want to log into the email. So I'm just going to log into username, that button I clicked on down there, and that will take us into our email. And when we get into our email, we should see that message from WordFence sometime, eventually. Or not. Let's just make sure I copied it. Sometimes, I mean, if I'm not getting emails, then we can take a look at as to why is that the case. But right now, let's just try to get this going here. Okay, get a free license. I'm okay waiting. Here's the email address. I have read it. No, register. It does slow things down when it comes to email. So you know how you might send out an email and it gets to you right away, or somebody sends you an email and it gets to you right away. This will slow it down because it's going through like different processes. All right, so it's saying it can't do it. Okay, that's fine. Let's continue registering, and then eventually it's going to be like, yo, we give up, and that's fine because I really don't want my email with them, but whatever. Still having trouble registering? Yes, let's just click on that and then let's copy the license. So we're going to copy that license and we're going to go ahead and paste that into the section here. Then we're going to paste that. And I'm going to say no. Let's go ahead and install the license. All right, so that license is going to be installed. All right, and now basically this is where we would set things up with our WordPress. We want to make sure that all this is kind of grooving. But for now, I mean, let's just kind of keep it like, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm tired, guys. I mean, honestly, that's kind of like where I'm at. But I want to, make sure that we cross this bridge, probably in documentation. All right. All right. So this is kind of like where we're at. We've already gotten our thing. Enable WordFence will update automatically. All right. So let's go ahead and get into our dashboard. And I'm going to bypass like what's going on there right now, just for getting this out. But you could follow like the script, if you like. Lock out after how many times? I'm going to say 3 because I know I'll get it within 3. Count failures over how long a period of time? Well, let's just do it over a day and make it difficult, right? Amount of time a user is locked out, guys. I'm like 2 months. That's just me. If you want to make it easier, you can always make it easier. If you get yourself locked out, you just basically would delete, the plugin. That's about it. Immediately lock out invalid usernames. Yes. Prevent the use of passwords leaks. Yeah. Rate limiting is on. You're doing more than 60 a minute, then you're in trouble. This is for bots, honestly. And basically, bots can slow your server down. That's what it boils down to, and they can cause havoc as well. The crawler's page now found exceeds. Let's say, I mean, basically, this is where they're trying to hack you. I'll just put it at 30 per minute. Throttle it. Okay. So I'll go ahead and save the changes. So I mean, this is just like bare bones minimum type stuff, guys. Okay. This would be like the last layer when it comes to hardening, and I really should, take a look at it, but I'm not. Let's take a look at firewall. Manage firewall rules, enable protection, extender protection, whitelist. I mean, you could do that type of stuff. I did it above and beyond what they have here. Additional protection rules, block fake crawlers, and login security. So, I mean, login security is like one of those things that we should probably take a look at. But for now, we'll just go ahead and do a scan. Okay. Login security. Excuse me, guys. This stuff is good to have, honestly. So, I mean, basically, like two-factor authentication, I would recommend doing something like that. Um, just for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and skip that for now. We'll take a look at tools, see if there's something there that is worth looking into at the moment. Bypass that for now. All options. Yeah. Okay. So for now, this is where we're at. Okay. So you have like a pretty secure system right now, guys. I mean, honestly, if we were to go to calculatedtees.com, hit enter, it pulls up, faster than it would on a shared host. I mean, it's legit. All right, so if you wanted to pop up, let's say we're going to go ahead and take a look at one of these plugins that allows you to kind of build from pre-built templates, okay? If you wanted to have a blog, I mean, I would recommend having some kind of, spam protection, but for now, this is what we're going to do. We're just doing a straight up website, okay? what are we going to search? We want to add a plugin. Now what we're going to search is starter. We'll go ahead and install now, like starter templates. They have a whole bunch of beautiful things. We're going to go ahead and install Elementor. And we'll install Yoast. There's also something that like scrunches like pictures and things of that nature. Rank math is also pretty good. I'm just trying to remember the name of it. I can't remember. If you wanted to install Lightspeed Cache, I'm not exactly sure how to do that. I know it does speed it up. You can do that on DigitalOcean. I mean, it works. This would be for spam protection, Honeypot anti-spam clean talk. So, you know, that's a recommendation if you wanted to have the spam protection. How about this? Maybe shrink pictures, right? All right, I don't see it. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into our plugins right quick. And then what we're going to do is we're going to activate all these plugins. Hit apply. And with starter templates, basically that gives you like the bones when it comes to creating something. Now you can create or set up an account with Elementor. It probably would be needed to use their setup. I'll just say, yeah, let it, you know, stay up to date. I'm gonna dismiss that for now. Okay, so one thing that is of interest to me right now is, hey, is my thing sending out and receiving email, right? So we want to make sure that that's working first. So let me go ahead and go over to, you know, Gmail. Now let's just see if it's working, right? Am I still live? Oh no, I'm not still live. Hopefully I'm recording. Am I recording? All right, well, I'm gonna exit out of that because it looks like it's not working right now. Hopefully I'm still recording, because if I'm not recording, then that would just be like a bummer. Let's just get over here. And I'm not recording.